How old are you?
70.
How many years of education was required to finish school when you were a child?
11 years. We didn't have a kindergarten back then. We had from first
To
to
11.
11.
What subjects did you study?
Reading, history, geography, spelling and arithmetic, and English. Language, we called it.
How has school changed since you were a child?
Well, the schools are bigger now, and they have, each child goes to a different class for a different subject. Back then, we only had one room we stayed in and one teacher that taught the whole day.
Did you have much homework?
I had a good bit, but usually when we were working in the field, they wouldn't give us too much because they knowed we had to go home and work in the field.
What happened if you didn't do it?
Well, you got in trouble because you had to do it at school. You had to stay at school and make it up.
How were children punished then, and why were they punished?
For disobeying and not doing what they should be doing, they'd send us to the principal's office, and then if he didn't like what we did, he'd tear us up.
Did you have a special memory from school?
Yes. One time I wasn't paying too much attention in class, and the teacher, Miss Smith, came by and had a paddle, so she popped me on the shoulder. And when she popped me on the shoulder, I turned around and hit her back because I had a temper.
Did you grow up in Gaston County?
No, I did not. I grew up in Greenville, South Carolina.
Were you in Gaston County during the Lower A Mill strike?
Yes, I can remember some about it, but we wasn't going up there because it was so bad, and remember that some people got shot, killed.
Think back as far as you possibly can. What is the first thing you can remember?
When I was a little girl, my daddy worked at the railroad during the day, and I went to meet him when he'd get off of the bus to come home, and I'd hold his hand coming around the pond, which we called a fertilized pond. I'd hold his hand coming to walk me home.
How have prices changed since your childhood?
Quite a bit, because back then you could buy a loaf of bread for 5 and 10 cents, but it wasn't sliced. And ice cream, you could buy a pint of it for a dime.
What kinds of things were purchased and how often?
Well, we got groceries was purchased once a week, but most of the time we had most of our vegetables and stuff and eggs and stuff like that on the farm. We had those. And shoes and clothes, we got 2 pair of shoes a year, one for Sunday and one for school.
Did you have any responsibilities or chores at home when you were my age?
Yes, we had cows and chickens and hogs and stuff like that, and my brother and I had to go to the pasture and bring the cows up, and I had the milk and the cows, and we had to churn the milk.
What did you do for entertainment and recreation when you were my age?
Well, there wasn't very much to do in the country. We played the radio and played records, and a lot of times our friends would come over and we'd get out and play ball and stuff like that.
Today we have many household appliances and conveniences that make our lives easier, like TVs, washing machines, and indoor plumbing. What things did you have to do without?
The indoor plumbing, we did not have it, and we did not have indoor bathroom and bathtub, but we did have a washing machine with a Ringer type and on it, and we had a wood stove. We cooked with wood on a wood stove, and we had an ice box. Daddy would bring the ice in for the ice box.
How is the life of a teenager today different than when you were a teenager?
They have more freedom, and they do mostly as they please now, but we had strict parents, and we didn't get to do like they do today, but they have more freedom.
Did you live during the Great Depression?
Yes, I did. I can remember I was small, I can remember Daddy planted a bean patch, and in the backyard, we had a great big backyard, he planted a bean patch, and the whole neighborhood used green beans off of it. He would tell them, because everybody was having it rough, and he'd tell them to come and get the beans, but be careful of his vines, because the next neighbor would need to get some too.
Did you or your husband participate in any U.S. war?
My husband was a flight clerk on the C-47 in World War II.
How did people feel about this war?
Well, they thought they were patriotic. They went to serve their country and fought for it, because they attacked, Japanese attacked us, and we felt like we had to fight them back.
How are the children of today different from the children of your generation?
Well, they have more freedom, and they get to do more than we did, because children today do not have to have to work like we did. We had to work on the farm and do that. They have more freedom.
What is the proudest moment of your life?
Well, I guess the proudest moment, one of the proudest moments was when I had my first child.
Of all the things you have done in your lifetime, what would you say was the greatest accomplishment?
Is raising my 5 girls and 2 boys up to be decent, respectable children.
Is family life any different today than it was when you were growing up?
Yes, quite a lot different. It's more freedom for the children, and they have more convenient things than we had then.
If you could give one piece of advice to the young people of today, what would it be?
To respect your parents, honor your parents and respect them, and also your school teachers.
What is the one historical event during your lifetime that has been the most important?
When the Second World War ended and my husband was coming home to me and the children.